And switching over to our next topic, we're going to talk about Carmelo Anthony that was charged with murder in Texas at a track meet. Roderick, what's going on? 17-year-old Carmelo, and not the basketball player. I want to
Correct.
make that clear.
Not to be
Yeah,
confused with the
right.
basketball.
Yeah.
So yes, Carmelo, and I believe the other young man, Carmelo was 17, the other young man was 16. And his name was Austin, I believe, Metcalf. And
Metcalf, yeah.
that young man, they were at a track meet, two different opposite teams. One young man was under a tent. They somehow, one of the young men asked him, to move, and they got into some kind of altercation. During the altercation, Carmelo stabbed the young man in the chest. The young man later died at the hospital, and he is now in custody. One of the things that stuck out about him being in custody, or one of the main things that's been said consistently, is that the officers asked him. They were on their walkie while they were on their walkie while arresting him, and they were saying, "Hey, we have the alleged suspect," and he spoke with me. He said, "It's not alleged. I did it." But one of the other things that was also said is that he told them when they went to arrest him and they came up on him, the first thing that he said was, um, I felt threatened for my life, and that he had did it. And so
Mm.
again, those are concerning because even if that is his truth, when you get arrested, you gotta be silent till you get there. You get the lawyer, and so some people are saying that it's racially motivated. Some people are saying that it's not racially motivated. Of course, he's saying it's self defense. I think right now they had started a GoFundMe for him, and it's raised over 85,000. But of course, none of
It's
us were
it's
there.
way up there now.
Way out there,
It's
It's
bro.
way
way
up
up there.
there.
Took it
Yeah.
down
It's,
now.
it's like
They
past
took it down.
200.
Yes.
I didn't know they took it
That's,
down.
that's
No,
the
no, they
latest.
took it down like two, three times, and then it's on Give, Send, Go. And the last time I saw it,
Right.
it was 178.
178 was the
A-
last one I saw before.
And before the show, I actually got $252,000, 436. That's what I have.
It is what you
How much they
saw.
Whoa.
raised, yeah, at
And
this
so
point of doing the
it's
show.
people have been giving mixed vibes. They were located also in Frisco, Texas. Not sure if that means anything, but just putting it out there. One of the other things that was a big thing is that the young man that died, his twin brother, was there during the
Mm.
attack. And so that could also, some people are saying that could be looked at as, if I was fighting you and your twin brother was standing there, that he could have been, self defense. And so, of course, we won't know the full details until a full investigation is ran, but it's definitely a unique. I don't even want to say unique. I will say that it's a story that we have to definitely wait to see what really actually happened comes out.
So I'll say this, Rod. I think
Uh-huh.
personally that this will be the biggest case in trial for the next 2 years. The biggest thing. I
Think it's
personally
gonna be
think
like Trayvon big
it
or
is good. It's going to be up there, and
okay.
it is going to once again create this division, this war between the two. We already know
Yep.
that because everything is racially motivated, like Rod has said, and it's going to be one of the biggest things, especially if this little boy goes to jail, because you're going to have one side that looks like this. They're going to have a problem with it, and if he gets let off of self defense, the other side is going to have a problem with it.
Yep.
Who here thinks that he will get off?
I'm concerned with this current time and the president that we have that everything right now is not working in his favor. And so maybe, with this money backing it up, he can get a top of the line lawyer and maybe there could be a chance. But I think this is one of those situations, just like Chance was just saying, this is one of those cases that's like, it's kind of like you don't know which way it could go.
Mhm.
Um, Again, we might need a little bit more evidence. Some stories have been coming out, like they posted him in an article about him saving someone from drowning 2 years ago. And so, we about to, of course, have that. We've seen some pictures of the twins were posted with guns in their hand. And so we about to
Right.
have that going back and forth on both sides of trying to, make the young man that that
Make
stabbed
the
him,
case.
excuse me,
Yeah.
look
So,
like a bad person and making the other, kids look like they might have been racist. And so it's definitely going to be big, like Terrence was saying.
So that's a good point. So I do actually want to show you what he's talking about here. We have this picture, and I never share my screen, but I figured it out.
you got the stock background, bro? Come on, man.
Yeah. Okay.
His
All right.
background alone, Kev.
So we got this photo here. I don't know if it's coming up, but it's going a little slow.
Don't see it yet.
You see it? No?
No.
No, but it's coming. I see your screen. We just got to see the picture that you're looking at. You got to open this picture.
It's loading right now. I don't know why it's taking so long, but
Taking
Okay.
forever.
while that's loading,
Mhm.
who thinks he should get off? Based
It,
on what we know now, obviously, like we know how cases work. It's gonna like evolve over time. But based on what we know now, who thinks
It's
he should?
not up yet. Sorry.
Yeah,
it's
we
up
see
now.
it. We see it. We
We
see
see
All
it.
it
right.
now.
So I want to go back to what Rod is saying, right? Really quick, and keep that thought, Brown, for me.
Mm,
So we got this picture right here
Uh-huh.
where on one side he looks really like what's this guy name? Oh yeah, so Carmelo looks like this thug. He looks all aggressive, things like that. And then Austin Metcalf looks super innocent. This good guy, right?
mhm,
So
mhm.
then we're gonna go to this photo here. Let me see if I can exit out of this. Exit. Okay, move us over. Now, when we look at this one, and this will be, come on, open up, full screen.
Mm.
Boom. We have this side over here where we got Carmelo in a shirt and tie, looking very innocent, clean cut guy. And then on the other end, we have Austin and his brother Hunter Metcalf, where they have the army fatigue or whatever this, I don't
They
know,
look
this
ready for
Hunter
war.
type, yeah, this little thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then got the guns where it looks like they're slightly problematic and, etc. So I got this from two different outlets
Mhm.
where on one side they're trying to push one agenda and on the other side they're trying to push the other.
Of course.
So,
Mhm.
but Kev Brown,
Based on what we know now, who thinks he should get off?
I believe it was self-defense. So yeah, I think you should get off.
Mm,
I think that it's hard to say, and what I mean by that is not like the self-defense piece, but the piece that when you so the thing that happens is that everything is always about the court of law. So it depends on the laws and what the laws say. But
mm,
and the reason why I say that is that because even with the pictures, if you look at the guys in the pictures with the guns, right, all that stuff doesn't really matter when it comes down to if you were, it was self-defense. Why did you use a knife? Why was there a knife on you at a track meet? They're going to go into all those different things. Why did you have a knife on you at a track meet, especially at a track meet that you were participating in and you're in high school and you're
mm,
17 years old? You stabbed a 16-year-old, right? So even though the young man is only 1 year younger and they're both, technically minors, him being 16 also makes it even worse. You know what I mean? And so it's going to be looked at like that. And then, of course, with these pictures and different evidence they provide, they're going to go digging into his phone and to his Instagram and Facebook. We don't know what's going to come up. He's a young man. There's no telling what he hasn't said or done on both sides. And so I
On
think
both
that
sides.
those things matter. Self-defense, I don't know. If you were defending yourself and you were at a track meet and you were 17, would you pull out a knife and stab a guy in the chest?
no,
And
I
so
wouldn't.
those are
I
going to be
wouldn't.
That's
those are
me
going to be the questions
personally.
that they ask.
100%. Okay, so I'll be the first to say my initial take on this is not my current take on this.
Okay.
I know when I'm in my echo chamber, and I read probably 10 different articles in the first 2 pages of the police report. I didn't
Okay.
get to read it all. And my perspective totally changed on this. Because the story evolved, and I forgot my own rule, which is give it a week, give it 2 weeks, let the story materialize a little bit, and then make a judgment. So I broke my own rule. I originally thought kind of what everybody was saying. Why would you just mention, Rod? We're going to ask the question: why did you have a knife in the first place? Yes, it may be self-defense, but why did you have a knife in the first place?
Hmm.
The more I hear about the story, it doesn't sound like a kid who intended to truly do harm.
Mhm.
Um, it doesn't paint the Metcalf kid in the same light that the original story did. Um, I didn't see anything to the contrary in the what I read of the police report. So my stance kind of changed, and this is where I land. I don't think he should get the book thrown at him at all, at all. I think there is a case for self-defense. I think there is a case for aggravated assault. I think there is a case for excessive use of force. I think all of these are going to factor into where it lands. I don't think you should get the book thrown at him, but as a minor with a weapon on school grounds, even if you are defending yourself against somebody who did not brandish a weapon at you, you should at least get excessive force. You should at least get excessive force in the lowest, uh, moderate to the lowest charge for aggravated assault. I don't think you should get first degree murder. That's crazy.
I also want to mention something that I think is very important in regards to having children and knowing about neighborhoods and places that you're living. In Frisco, Texas, the population as far as someone who's white is 51.18%. The population there that is black is 8.6%. And so those things are so important when it comes to like cases, especially involving minors. And so I just want to put that out there.
So I'll say this real quick. I'm in Dallas every week. Literally, I know Frisco. It's been under a year that I've been going back and forth, and I'm still learning the areas. Frisco is a safe area. It's a nice area. A lot of people have recommended me to actually buy and own there in Frisco. So when this came out, I'm kind of surprised that this actually happened in this area. I want to go back a couple of steps. So imagine this. The track meet is actually delayed, and you have these kids just hanging around, just chilling. You got Section A, Section B, C, D. Karmelo belongs in Section D with your team. Austin is in A. Karmelo comes over to A in the wrong section. Austin says, hey, you don't belong here. You need to go back over to D. Your school's over there. Some words go back and forth. Austin decides to grab Karmelo. That's when homeboy takes out the knife and stabs Austin, allegedly, according to what the students are all saying. So when we talk about self-defense, that's where I think the black population are trying to back him and say, hey, he touched him first. But when you think about it, you just took somebody's life. You just killed someone.
Whether you intended to or not, you did it.
You just killed someone. So regardless if it's self-defense or not, the father, Jeff, was talking on Fox News and all these other outlets, and he said, my son is not coming back. You know, he went out there for a little track meet, and he's not coming home on Wednesday or Thursday. So, you know, a certain population is behind him and say, oh, let him off. Let him get off. It shouldn't be that, you know, he's only 17, but you killed somebody.
He has to live with that for the rest of his life.
Well, yeah, but
he should also be punished for it as well.
Yeah, he got to be punished.
I mean,
you got to be locked up for a little bit.
What did you say? Excessive force?
Yeah. I think there's a case
or aggravated
assault, excessive use of force, self-defense. I think that could all be a case.
Okay.
But we also don't know what happens anytime people are in sports. We don't know if they're rival teams.
Yeah,
we don't know if him and that young man has had previous interactions. We don't know. And I'm not saying that makes it okay for someone to commit a murder. What I'm saying is that also when you got a twin brother, if you got a brother at all, and you got a twin brother, them was some big guys. You get what I'm saying? Like we don't know how he might have feared for his life. We don't know what they were into. What they did when you got your twin brother that's identical, him and his brother probably was running stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Where does de-escalation come in at this point? Because we got to remember before.
Don't even know how to de-escalate, Kevin. I can't.
No. That doesn't absolve you from personal responsibility. At the end of the day, the kid knew that he was in the wrong position or in the wrong place because he said, "Move me." Allegedly,
allegedly. Yeah, we got to say that word.
Yeah. And not only that, he made a decision, which was to arm himself by grabbing the knife in the bag in the process of this dispute. Whether it's for self-defense or not, he made that decision when he could have also made a decision to just get out of the situation, right? But he chose to stand his ground. And when he stood his ground, it caused a reaction, right or not, wrong or not. I'm not saying it's either, but it caused a chain reaction of events that led to this boy's death. And for that, I could say 1 to 2 opportunities he had to, 1, de-escalate, and 2, remove himself from the situation. You chose not to, for whatever reason, and this is the result. And for that decision, yeah, you have to pay a price. I don't think you should get the death penalty like some people are saying. That's crazy. I don't think you should get the book thrown at you because like you legitimately did fear for your life, to Rod's case, but you went far beyond what was reasonable. And for that, you deserve a punishment.
Now, according to sources, allegedly, Karmelo Anthony stated, I want to stab somebody. One of his friends has said that. I mean, once again, that's what I said. According to sources, like we don't really know.
That is crazy.
He had mentioned that to another friend, and another friend had told that to the officers and etc. Allegedly, that he had mentioned, well, I'm going to stab somebody. But this is like prior days, not the day of. right? So
Mhm.
for him to, let's just think about this really quickly. For him to have not a gun, but a knife in his back pocket or in his book bag, clearly it was some things that he was thinking about, like, hey, I need to protect myself, or I'm fearing for my life around Texas or in this area, whatever. I just
Mhm.
need to have this just in case. So when
Mm.
the first situation came about, he took it upon himself to take the knife and stab this guy. Right? So we're gonna see what happens in court if both sides can really prove their case and etc. But I'm just going off of the notes, what the notes say here.
I just want to
Yeah.
know what
Did they?
17-year-old y'all know that de-escalate situations. What 17-year-old y'all know makes good decisions. What 17-year-old do you
Bye,
guys know
Kevin.
that
Not
walks
all the
away
time. Not all the
with
time. Not all
stuff?
the time.
Come
But
on,
I chose my
y'all.
Doing
moment.
this with
I'm
you.
not
I
saying
chose
he
my
okay, but I'm
moments.
just saying y'all talk about this man like he is a grown man who has
I just
been through
said
things, who knows how to make good decisions.
17, you have discernment. I'm not making an excuse for a 17-year-old. Not
You
there
don't
doing
know
are
17-year-olds,
police
then. You ain't never been
whose
around no
job is to
17-year-olds.
de-escalate, and they do not de-escalate,
it.
Kevin.
Okay, if they don't know how to de-escalate, remove yourself from the situation. This is just okay, let me be real. This is just poor parenting. Like for your
Oh,
child to
definitely, for
stab
sure.
somebody. To
Yeah.
stab somebody, to stab
But
somebody.
but then
Now
Yeah.
that could be said. That could
but
be
then
said a
Kev,
little bit.
also like, I agree with you probably like 97% of the time. But I think in this 3%, we can't always blame it on the parents also.
No, not at all.
Right. So like when it comes to like these kids, the Carmelo Anthony with the shirt and tie, his discernment is let me remove myself. The other one with the dreads looking a mess,
Mhm.
that's what he do. He kill
Mhm.
people day in and day out, Monday through Friday,
Okay.
It depends if they got under his skin and he don't know how to
Allegedly.
control his emotions.
allegedly.
That was a
You don't
great
know if he lost,
That-
he couldn't control his emotions.
What'd you say,
And he
Kev?
might have not been taught to handle his emotions.
That's very
So he could
true.
have reacted to his emotion. You know, the emotion in you,
Hold on, wait. Say that again,
I'm pretty
Rob?
sure y'all made decisions. And he was like, damn, the next day, I've done
Yeah.
stuff and I was like, damn, why did I do that when
That
I
was
was
real
younger?
But
emotional.
I ain't kill nobody.
I ain't killed
Oh
nobody,
no,
but
Kevin,
I've been in
it didn't go
situations
that
where
far.
Or get that
yeah, I've been in
close.
situations where it could have went that way,
Listen.
but I didn't. But it could have easily went that way.
And we don't know what we that twin brother. I'm just saying. No one's gonna tell me that if my twin
I'm telling
put
you.
their hand on somebody's shoulder to remove them from our space, that I'm not standing in proximity to where they would feel threatened. That no one's
I'm
gonna
sure
tell
he
me
was
that.
cose by his brother Hunter.
I'm
Yeah,
sure he was
Oh,
backing
he
his
was right
brother up.
there.
What you mean?
yeah.
That's my brother.
Yeah.
I'm gonna back him up.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
my twin brother.
Valid.
And
Valid.
did they state whether the track meet was countywide or statewide or something like that at
It was
all?
big because it was
I
like
didn't see it.
it said
Okay,
like SEC or it was something that was like a big deal.
a big
Yeah.
deal. Okay.
So going back to Jeff Metcalf, he's begging everyone not to make this about race. And he also stated that he forgives Carmelo Anthony for what he has done to his son. But the forgiveness he stated is for me and not for him. It's so
Okay.
I can get over it, the forgiveness.
Tell
And
him
to
we
be
won't make it about race if it comes out that it's not about race. But if it's about race, it's about race. We can't fix that.
I
well,
think T proved with those photos that it's about race.
It
Like,
is.
right,
if it not from the
right.
parents, but from the media, it's about
Mhm.
race.
And they're gonna make it about race. And I
Yeah,
also
they
think
are.
this $252,000 of support is also about race because they feel like Tamisha probably feels that he should get let off for this.
But the thing
I don't
about
think
it
that
is
he
that
should.
we
So
talk about self defense. So the thing about some of this stuff is that although it's connected to race, the comments and the things that I said to you, I would have made the same comments if the young man was white. To be clear,
No, I'm not saying you.
because
I'm saying
all
the
17
media.
year olds are
Interesting.
17-year-olds. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
that's true.
All 17-year-olds don't make good decisions no matter what race they are.
Valid.
and you know what's funny? Even when we were talking about Luigi a couple of weeks ago,
Mhm.
and people were supporting him and giving money,
Alar.
it's the same exact thing with this, right? You always got two sides to all of these cases and stories where people support or they're against it. If you ask me, I think so tough. This is so tough for
It's a
me because
tough one.
he looks like me. I look like him. It's one of those things, but you can't go around stabbing people. You can't do that. You can't take somebody else's life like that. You probably come from a community where you see this happening day in and day out, and then for you to actually do something like that, which is kind of crazy. You know better that you shouldn't be killing somebody with a gun or a knife and etc. You know better.
But take the killing out of it, Terrence. When you make mistakes, and especially when you're young, you don't think about the outcome. Every single mistake that has happened, usually with people, there are a lot of people who do stuff because they want to do stuff. But a lot of people just reacted off emotion, did something, and then they didn't think about it till literally after they did it. So he might have not. He might have, if it was self-defense, and he's like, fighting somebody for his life or fighting because he's scared. He's not thinking, I want to stab you to kill you. I want to stab you to get you up off of me. And so, although the outcome was murder and death, or whatever the case may be, allegedly, the outcome might have been that might have not been his. He might have just wanted to stab him to get him off. Sometimes people shoot somebody, they'll shoot you in the foot because they want you to just get back, or they
Mhm.
want you to get about their house, but they don't
That
shoot you.
bullet ricochet.
Yeah,
I'm with you on that, Ron. I don't
you
think he
can't.
intended to kill somebody. There's 0% of me that he
I don't
intended
know. I
that.
don't know about that one. If you have a knife or that type of
But we
weapon,
don't know
you're
why
trying.
he
You're
had
trying.
the knife,
But
Terrence.
you're trying.
Right.
Well, allegedly, according we keep on saying this word. I love it. But allegedly, according to sources, they're stating what was said. Carmelo stated to Austin, "If you touch me, watch what happens." So
I
he
did hear
he
that.
warned him, and then Austin decided to actually touch him, and then he found out what happened.
He
But if you
fucked
touch
around
me,
with the
watch
house.
what happened. Don't mean if you touch me, I'm a
But
murder you.
okay, hold on. With that warning, I'm with T on this. If that is legitimate, then we do enter the realm of premeditated murder. We do enter the realm of first degree murder.
But if you touch me, watch what happened. Mean if you touch me, I'm gonna get you up off of me. I'm gonna stab you, whatever I got to
Here's
do
the simple
to
fact
get
of
you up
it.
off me.
Homie's dead. He ain't gonna
Right,
suffer no consequences.
right.
He's the only one left to suffer consequences. So of course it's gonna feel imbalanced. But because we're gonna see this throughout time, like T said, probably for the
Mhm.
next 2 years. So it's
Yeah, it's
gonna
gonna be big.
feel that way. But we gotta remember he lost his life. He suffered the maximum repercussion of his actions. Now this kid has to deal with the repercussions of his actions, what intended or not.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm very surprised there's no cell phone footage.
It
Mm.
probably
That's
is.
something
They
that
probably
happens
haven't
so
released it.
fast.
They
It don't
probably
matter.
haven't, and
Them
they probably didn't release
kids
it.
have their phones out
Yeah,
all the time, recording any and everything. I'm super surprised
they
they
probably
Right.
just
have
didn't
cell
release
phone.
it.
You don't think they just have
Yeah, I'm with Rod on that one.
And I'm
Rod,
not with everybody that's there like whispering and saying such and such because
Mhm.
I know you guys know that when situations happen, especially like say it was my friend or something, different people are gonna be. If I hear one
Mhm.
thing, that's the story I'm gonna tell that I saw it and I
Yeah.
know it. And so those are not really supporting things for the case, in my opinion.
um, I will say this before I ask Rod this question about the biggest mistake that a human can make. I want to know that. So I'm gonna give you some time to answer that. But we're gonna post this on TikTok, and I want you guys to know we're gonna get a lot of comments about this. People are gonna talk trash about what Tamisha's saying, what I'm saying, what you're saying, Kev, Rod. So just prepare for that. I want to warn you guys. Once we release this, one of these sides is gonna disagree with that.
Of course.
So, Rod, what do you
Hmm.
think the biggest mistake is that a human can make during their lifetime?
Wow, that's a good question. In what regard? Just in general?
In general,
Mm.
the
Ah,
biggest
that's a hard
mistake.
question.
So when you sit there and you say that, oh, he's 17, he's 16, he's making mistakes, and he doesn't really have discernment and all this other stuff. This is a big mistake. This is a big one to make at 17, to kill someone. You
But it
don't
could
think that's
easily
the
happen to
highest of the
anybody.
high? Huh?
It could easily happen to anybody, to be honest with
No,
you.
you're right about that. You're right. But I'm saying you don't think that this is a gargantuan, a major, major deal, a major mistake that you can make in your life is to kill someone else?
I do, but I also think that anybody that gets in a street fight can kill somebody. If you fight me right now and my head hit the ground, I could die.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen people die. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? From getting into fights and regular old school street fights with no weapons. And so I think the biggest mistake that somebody can make in life is allowing your emotions to control what you do. I
Mm-hmm.
know, and I'm thinking about, my own life and mistakes I've made. Sometimes your emotions can allow you to get so upset that you react in a way that can literally ruin your life. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's one of the biggest mistakes people can make in their life. I think some of the biggest mistakes too go back to what we were talking about at another time is also not having boundaries with people and not expecting expectations of people. And so if you have certain boundaries, then you can have better friendships and different things. So I think that's also a mistake. But in regards to this, it's definitely controlling your emotions. And that is not something that a lot of parents teach their kids. And so when you see somebody 17-year-old making this mistake, that also means that's why I do believe a little bit about what Kevin was saying, or I don't know if it was Kevin or Tamisha saying about the parenting. I don't put all the things on parenting, but I do think that parents, me and my mom was actually just talking about this. A lot of parents love to say, oh, you better get good grades and you better study. Them kids don't even know how to study. They don't know that you gotta, like, some people work better visual learners. Some people need to bust down flashcards. But your parents will quickly be like, "Oh, you better get good grades and you better study," not knowing that you have to be taught these things. This is
Hmm.
their first time being a teenager. Your first time really, being trying to grow into an adult. And so he might not have been taught about emotions, controlling his emotions. He might have not been taught about like not having a weapon. You know what I'm saying? Those kind of things are important. Those things do not excuse the outcome of the things that you do, and it did not stop you from being punished for the things that you do. But I think that I do understand how a 17-year-old does not make the best mistakes. I mean, make the best decisions. I do
Decisions.
understand how parenting is important. They might have not, you might have not been taught to control your emotions and to not, to not even be. I wouldn't even be under a tent or even get how to handle altercations with people, especially people of different races in the current climate that we live in, where everything is centered around race.
Well,
Like those are things that you got to teach people.
in this situation,
Hmm.
Austin Metcalf didn't draw a knife or a gun. He just said whatever verbally, and
That we
with
know of.
well, that we know of. But when it comes to Carmelo, he
Hmm.
let those words get to him so much that he had to kill somebody and take their life and use a weapon against them at that.
But Terrence,
You
we
see
don't
what I
know
mean?
what he encountered in a community that is what, 8%,
I
Not
eight
an
don't.
percent.
You
excuse.
know what?
Wait,
I'm
wait,
not
this
gonna
is
say
what
I
I'm
don't care.
saying. Well,
I'm not gonna
hear
say
me
I
out,
don't
hear
care
me
because
out.
I do
I'm
care.
not
I do
making an
care.
excuse. I'm trying to make
I
you
do care.
understand someone's mind.
Hmm.
And going back into the way that you are brought up is how you respond to life and how you, it doesn't make it okay,
Is it
but it
is it
does.
I
I
There's a
do
reason
hold
he had
on,
that
understand.
night.
hold on,
hold
hold
on.
on.
Yeah, I do
So
understand.
let me say this, Rod.
Hmm.
I am from the Bronx in New York.
Hmm.
Tamisha, I get it, but I just gotta say that. And I was around a terrible, terrible neighborhood. The people who still follow me to this day on social media, who grew up with me, they can attest that that area was disgusting. It was nasty. And being 10, 11, 13, 15, I seen some of my boys get arrested. They was stealing, they was fighting, they was shooting. That wasn't me. That wasn't my lifestyle. I wasn't doing those things. I wasn't stabbing people. I wasn't stealing. I wasn't playing hooky from school. I wasn't doing certain things. And my mom, we didn't really have those conversations. I just knew that it was wrong. Certain things you just know is not right.
But Terrence, if I lined up ten guys from that neighborhood with you, can they all say the very same thing that you can?
They can't. And you know why? Because everybody in that neighborhood is doing certain things and they feel like that's the norm. And they feel like, okay, this is what I need to do to save myself. I gotta shoot somebody. I gotta stab somebody. I gotta rob somebody. No, you really don't. You really
I,
don't have to do that.
I get what you're saying, but that's not kind of how the world works. That, like, what you're talking about is an
So, but isn't
individual
that what you
response.
isn't that what we should strive for though?
We should strive
Right.
Or
for
that
it. No, 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 no. We
you know what
should.
I'm
We
We
saying?
should
should.
strive this
Like
We
for,
should
I'm
strive for
Kevin.
that. We
yeah, I
should
take
strive for
both of
that.
y'all point. Hold on, I take both of y'all points. It's not how it is, and there are fewer than there should be that have this mentality, right? But that's what we should strive for. And I want to tie it back to the conversation me and my mom was having about this topic, Carmelo Anthony, right? And it ultimately like was tied into Lord of the Flies and the last line of the book Lord of the Flies, where it was like he smiled as he reflected on the loss of his innocence or something like that, right? And it got me thinking when we were in school, when we were children, teenagers, younger than that, like I could say like innocence went out the window, whether it's sexual, whether it's violence, whatever it was, innocence went out the window around 14, 16 years old. I think nowadays, like on average, nowadays, I think it's hitting like 10, 12 years old. I think these children are losing their innocence, whether it's through media, whether it's through abuse, whether it's through assimilating into the neighborhood that they live in, like Terrence wouldn't do, right?
Mhm.
All these things factor into how long a child can remain a child because what just happened, a child would not do. But this 17-year-old child just made the biggest mistake, one of the biggest mistakes that anybody can make in their life. And I think we should look at what factored into that and stop letting the finish line be, it is what it is, and really start to question, like, how do we get here and what can we do to prevent it? Like, what is influencing a child so much so that he thinks it's okay to stab somebody, whether it's self defense or not? That's crazy. That's crazy. And it does fall on the parents to some degree. It does fall on the child for his lack of independence and assimilating into what his knucklehead friends is doing, or maybe he's the ringleader. Then we got to
Mm.
ask, where did he get this idea? Right? Is it the media? Is it TV? Or is it these movies? Is it the music? Whatever. We could easily say all of them. But then if we say all of them, then it goes back to the parent who is the guardian, the protector, and should be keeping them away from all this stimulus, right? And so that's what parents are almost never completely innocent, but they are never always to blame as well.
Understanding is not an excuse, though. I want to make sure I make that clear. Understanding why something may have happened is not making an excuse for what has happened. And I
Valid.
also never stated that he should not be held responsible for anything they did, but I do understand why somebody, like, I understand why some of the responses that you have are the way you have. And that's why I always talk about a lot of these responses are deeply rooted in privilege. And privilege does not necessarily always mean that you came from money.
That's true.
Yeah,
But
bro.
but privilege pertaining to us in what way though? Like as
I
far
mean,
as
if
like
you
our
Well,
have, if,
response.
like I know that I was very privileged with my mother being able to express my emotions and
Okay.
express that I'm feeling about things and
Hmm.
having open conversations. A
Mhm,
lot of people didn't grow up that way. That
mhm,
is a privilege.
mhm.
Um, but-
Mhm.
so
So
I understand that.
and I want to go back to what Kev was saying. The aspect of like his family dynamic,
Hmm.
why he felt the need to do whatever. At the end of the day, he's still going to jail, most likely. Like the why really doesn't matter. No one cares about your why. They just put you in jail and that's it and throw away the key. So at the end of the day, you have to be able to control yourself, your actions, your emotions, and everything else. It doesn't matter about the background, the family background, all that shit, out the window.
This is
but
my
That's what
three
that's
overall,
what
percent.
people
people
got
This
to
this is my
realize.
3% disagreement with you.
Yeah.
I think it does matter, not for Carmelo, but for all the
but for
boys
other
that could
people.
potentially be in his situation. I think it
Situation.
does matter.
Well,
Yeah.
but this is not the first time that this has happened, though. Something similar or remotely similar. People getting stabbed, people getting shot. We've seen the repercussions. People going to prison and everything else off of their actions countless times.
Mm,
You know better.
mm.
You know better to
You
stab
know better.
somebody.
You do. You
Come
do.
on now.
You do.
You know better to stab somebody, but again, we don't know why the stabbing happened. And I'm not saying again that it's okay, but I'm saying was it from a self defense? We don't know what has happened. We don't know. Not being funny, just like people judge pictures, the two guys with the guns. We don't know what two guys with the guns. You might feel like you a knife ain't nothing compared to the gun that you might think they. And I'm not saying they carry their gun to the track meet, but we don't know in a town like that. We don't know what those guys were known for. We don't know what, you know what I'm saying? Those pictures just give us a
We
little
also
inkling
don't
of
know
what
if
they might.
they knew each
They
other.
didn't know each other.
You know.
I want
Terrence, we're
to
not
clarify.
100% sure
Allegedly,
about
they
that.
did not. Huh?
Because when you in high schools and track meets, I might not know Terrence, but I know that's Terrence from Eastside High.
That's true.
Okay. Okay.
That's true.
Okay. Well, according to
And it's
sources,
probably not the
allegedly
first time they've
they
seen each
never met, they never
other.
knew each other, stuff like that. This was the first time ever.
And people on those track teams also be knowing, like, oh, that's Terrence that run the
Oh yeah, for
long
sure.
distance. You know what
For
I'm
sure.
saying?
Yeah.
Even if I don't know you, know you. And so you just
Mhm.
never know.
Yeah. All right. Well,
We'll be watching for the next 2 years to see what's going on, Terrence.
I think at
Correct.
least for the next
Just
year,
don't
year
let
and a
this
half.
turn into another George Floyd.
It
No,
is gonna, but it is
no,
gonna be all of that
no,
because
no.
you know that this
No,
is gonna be
if it turns into another one of that, y'all fell for the trap. I'm gonna keep it a band. Y'all
I
fell for the
understand
trap.
that, but it is going to turn into that because they want something to
They.
protest against.
Who's they?
The people that may turn this into another George Floyd or another Trayvon Martin.
Mhm.
They want something to protest against. I mean, the government is not everybody's friend right now, so it's like this is going to be that.
Should
I
it?
feel like
Should it? This is the question that everybody should be asking. Should it be the issue? Because at the end of the day, both if
in
all if all what
prioritizing
we know
issues,
is
Kevin.
true, I think okay, this is what I'll say. I'll be fair. If this boy gets sentenced to death,
Okay.
right in the street, right in the fucking streets. Dang it. Sorry. Um,
Hold on.
riot in
He's lagging, right? Or no?
Yeah, he's lagging a little.
Okay.
are
There
we
you go.
good?
You back. You
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. If this boy gets sentenced to death or gets a death charge, Riot in the streets. I'm with y'all on that. Will I personally be out there? No, but I kind of support because it's excessive. It's an excessive conclusion. Yeah. But I don't think simply because this boy is going through the legal process because of the actions that he took, we should riot in the streets. Nah, absolutely. We don't know. We don't know. So we should wait, see what's happening, get all the facts, and even wait for
that's not how their brains work, Kevin, and you know that.
Whose brains? Whose brains?
The public. That's not how they're not waiting for facts. They just waiting for the next thing
that pay your GoFundMe. Make sure he has proper legal representation so he does get his due process. But sit y'all butts at home. Y'all worried about the economy. Go get a second job.
Let me ask a question because I'm always concerned about this. I always hear everybody, and this probably directly for you, Kevin, maybe Terrence a little bit, but why is it always never an understanding for, okay, why did this young man do this? Why did this happen? And why is it automatically just like, oh, he did this. Oh, and he has no self-defense. He shouldn't have had a knife. I would love to hear one time, you know what I'm saying, an understanding of wanting to know like why this has happened.
Let's define this.
Okay, hold on.
This as this incident.
Keep that.
It's not what
makes you think. Go, Roderick again. Go ahead.
Okay. Go ahead, Rod.
My question is, I want to know, when different situations happen that we've discussed, especially in regards to race, I haven't heard you say, take a deep dive and do deep research into like why these things are happening. The background of the young man, the background of his parents, like us taking a deep dive into that. I'm not saying we should make an excuse. I'm just saying, why not take a deep dive to figure out like why things like this happen or why these things are happening. You know what I'm saying? Instead of always saying, "Oh, well, he put out a knife, so he couldn't have been doing this." I'm just curious about that.
Because we know why. We know that, yes, we do. We know that crime rates are directly correlated to socioeconomic status. We know that the more impoverished you are, the higher the crime rates. We know the more impoverished you are, the lower education you have. We know the lower education you have, the more susceptible you are to a violent crime. The more susceptible you are to the school prison pipeline. We know these things. So we know that the black man was incentivized to be taken out of the household. We know that single motherhood is probably the worst. Damn it. Let me take that back. We know that a lot.
No, please say that because I think you might be right.
No, because the worst is wrong. The worst is too far.
Really?
We know that children that come from single mother households, statistically in comparison to single father households or dual parent households, have a higher probability of violence, have a higher probability of mental health issues, have a higher probability of a lot of negative outcomes. So to answer your question, we know all of this. We know we don't necessarily have to deep dive into it. And once something like this happens, the courts are going to do the deep dive. They're going to look into their character. They're going to look into their history. They're going to look into their criminal history if they have it. So they're going to do that. Right?
They're not going to look into the demographics and the things that actually matter.
But that's what I just explained. I just went through it. We know this. We know if he came from this community. And furthermore, if he didn't come from this community, we should really be scratching our heads as to why he out here stabbing people. Right. And so like I care about my people, but I care about my people so much that I'm going to hold you accountable because we need to make an example out of the worst of us. So
Kevin, have you ever taken
not done that already?
Hold on. I'm not saying he is the worst of us, but I'm saying
have we not done that already?
Absolutely not. As a community,
Kevin, have you never took a knife to school?
No. What?
I have.
Why?
I haven't.
Because I felt threatened. Because I felt I was gonna get jumped in the bathroom.
You know what I do? I'll throw hands. I've had teeth knocked out. Right. I've had teeth knocked out. I've been jumped. I've been curved. Not curved.
It depends on what kind of guys you're dealing with. You talking about some regular? I'm not talking about a regular everyday.
I've got jumped by white folk. I got jumped by black folk.
And then you know what?
I'm talking about, but that's on you. But if I feel like I'm getting jumped by some gang members who I know got guns and stuff that I might not even have, and I'm not saying those guys are gang members. I'm just giving you an example. Then I might think I need a little pocket knife. I take a pocket knife with me right now if I get in an Uber.
Listen, Rod, in that case, you don't go to school. You don't go to school. You tell your parents.
I'm 17. Am I really thinking that though? I get what you're saying, and you're right.
You tell your parents, hey, something's going on.
What's that? My mom's at work all day and I haven't seen my dad.
Listen, you got to talk to somebody, right? You got to confide in somebody or have some type of adult. You have your teachers, you have a
A lot of people
principal,
don't
you
have
have
no
your
adults at
dad, you
home,
have your
man.
mom, you have your grandmother, you got your cousins, you got your uncles, you got your like. We can't keep on making up all these nonsense
But
excuses
see,
that nobody is there. Somebody got to be there. But
Really?
Or you gotta seek
this
even
how I know that we
a
come from a place of privilege. Because
Yes,
people,
exactly.
this is a
me
prime example. Because some
me
people really don't have people
Because
there.
you
Not
said
you, but
somebody
in
got to be
general.
there. The statistics show it's more
listen.
likely than not
Okay,
that there is no one.
you can even, how about this? You can even say, let me call 911. Let me find a police officer. I
What
just
little
named
black
like,
boy in the hood think 911 gonna help them?
but this is what I'm
That's
trying
a
to
that's a
say.
that's a community problem right there.
We exactly. I
I'm hold
understand
on.
that.
Let me take a step back. I got assaulted by police, and I will still call the police on somebody as a black man. So
Ooh,
like that's a
Good luck.
cultural thing. I still value police. I still
oh,
value what they have to offer. It's just a few bad apples. It's a real thing, and
you.
you're never gonna get rid of them. Let's keep it a band. You're never gonna get rid of them. But I believe in the cause. I believe in the majority of them, and these few people just happen to be out of line. Like,
I
and
don't
I
see
think
Kevin,
that
how
that's what
about
I'm
before
that's what
you
as.
I'm
go
gonna
to your
teach my
state you were born
children
and
as
raised
well.
in?
I
Rod,
see
Huh?
them as
before you go to
killer snakes.
school with that knife, you say, hey, look, I have this situation. I have about 5 or 6 dudes that's waiting for me to jump me. They might have a gun. I don't know what's gonna
Blood,
happen.
Crips.
I am afraid. But you know what you did, and I don't want to offend you in any type of way.
Uh-huh.
It was your pride, it was your ego, and you felt like to be a man, you had to take that knife or that gun to, pretty much defend yourself.
Or
That
I was
was
just
your way
young
of
and
doing it.
uneducated. Or I was
Huh?
just young and uneducated.
Right,
And
uneducated.
prideful.
But for me, I'm not. Listen, I had guys. I
What's
can remember
pride? If
right
you
now.
young, what's pride?
What do you mean?
Not being able
It's
to
Y'all
turn
not
tail and
talking
run
about
away
adults. Y'all
from a
not talking
dangerous
about adults. We're
situation.
talking about young. We're talking about people who are young who haven't even developed
Have
all
you?
those
All right.
correct
Let me ask you
thoughts.
this:
but
Have you
what do
ever
you mean?
ran
What's
from a
pride?
fight?
Pride is, or that ego is already in you. You just don't have a title for it. You don't have a definition for it
Have
or
you
a
ever
label.
ran
But
from a fight,
it's
Rod?
in you.
How
Go
about
ahead. I'm
what?
sorry, Kev.
Have you ever ran from a fight?
I've never
I
ran from a
have.
fight, but I've gotten beat up before.
Why didn't you run from the fight?
Um, well, the time I got beat up, I was fighting a guy I didn't know his cousin was in our class too, so they kind of
Uh,
jumped me. And I wasn't taught to run from stuff, so that's
there it
probably
is.
what it
That's
was.
pride. That's pride. That stands your
Yeah, it
ground.
might have been
That's
pride, but that's
pride.
what I'm taught. But I got two questions.
Yeah.
My first question is that do you guys have children?
No.
No.
My second question is that specifically for Kevin, I would like to know the city and state that you grew up in.
Indianapolis, Indiana, not town, not Afghanistan,
Okay.
baby.
So is that next to Gary?
Next to Gary, next to Chirac. Yeah, they all coming down to Indianapolis
Okay,
and
just
bringing their
curious.
problems too.
I was just curious to know that.
hmm But I will disclaimer: I grew up in the suburbs. I have both my parents. I went to a very good high school.
All of those privileges.
Very much so. I'm privileged. Not well. I'm what's the word I'm looking for? Privileged. Let's go with
Mm.
it.
But at the end of the day, what does that mean? So what?
The
So what?
privileges
So
are not
Kevin
a
may see this.
judgmental piece
So
because we're all
Kevin,
privileged in some way.
The thing is, at the end of the day, the law states that you can't harm or kill somebody in that type of way, regardless if you're privileged or not. Because if
I get the
Austin,
same charge.
right, if Austin,
Who
if
wrote the law?
so
Oh,
what?
come on now.
So
We're not
what?
going to do
So
this.
like
Man,
what?
no,
Come
if
on.
y'all
Right.
want to
So
go
what?
there, I'm just
Oh my
saying.
God.
Yeah.
y'all,
Listen, you went
Austin
there. I'm just
Metcalf,
asking.
Austin Metcalf did not pull out a gun or a knife, like I stated, to harm that dude to get him out the section. Carmelo Anthony did that to him.
Correct.
Okay,
I
and that's what
understand.
it is. It's a done deal. The guy is
We'll
not
see
coming
when the
back.
facts come out.
Say what?
We'll
Hopefully,
see
when the
when the
facts
facts
come
come
out,
out.
we will see.
That's a recurring
Hopefully,
topic for sure.
Yeah, for sure. It's just unfortunate, because somebody that plays sports and things like that in high school, and then imagine like your son go out to play basketball, football for a game,
and
and
never
don't
come
come
back.
back and never come back.
But also,
So
what are you teaching your son? Are you also teaching your son how to interact with other students and how to talk to them and and that goes on both ends. That goes for the guy with the knife and that goes for the guy who was arguing with him. Was he taught to how to interact with people and handle altercation as well? Right? Because we all know like depending on if Terrence walked up to me and he said something to me, depending on how I respond to Terrence could also be beneficial for saving my life, honestly.
valid.
You know, we're going to close out in the next 2 minutes because we went kind of long tonight. But I will say this. the race war must stop. It has to end. Right? But, this division right here and Tamisha constantly taking sides of the people that look like for 2 years. But for two
Luigi fine.
years, for 2 years,
Luigi don't look like
Tamisha
me.
Tamisha has always been on the side of people that look like her, regardless if they were wrong or right. But mainly wrong. She has always been on their side, and that's why when
Wrong
we
to
have
Terrence. Wrong to
well,
Terrence.
well, she said that it's self defense. Immediately, she went into that. It's self defense. Let him off. Really?
He ain't gonna have enough. It's not enough people on people's side. So her being on their side is not even going. Ain't nothing wrong with that. We need more people up to support people. I'm just saying.
$220-something thousand ain't like plenty of people supporting.
And sadly, it still might not be enough based on the
Yeah,
way
you
the
do got
world
a
is
$1 million
still.
bail or bond.
It's $1
Crazy.
million
Yeah,
bond.
it's $1 million.
Mhm.
You know what's gonna be really crazy if Luigi gets off, but this guy doesn't get off. That's gonna be crazy.
I'll
It
throw you
would
one
be.
better. If
That-
he
It would be.
doesn't get off, Luigi gets off. Oh, riots in the street.
Wait, say that again.
If he
If
doesn't get off
this
and
guy
Luigi
Carmelo doesn't get off and Luigi gets off, riots in the street.
Well, yeah, that's what I said, right?
Yeah,
That's what
he's
he
saying
said.
he just saying
Oh,
right.
that's what you said?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
that's
what
what
he
he
said.
said.
I heard that all the way backwards. My bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I was saying if Luigi, because he's Italian or white, whatever you might, however you might want to look at it, if he got off for shooting somebody and literally killing, and that wasn't no self defense, but Carmelo, you can raise
And he
the flag.
ran.
Yeah,
To another state.
yeah. So we'll eventually see, what will happen. Tamisha, will he get off?
Say it again.
Will he get off, Carmelo? What's your final take on it to close it out?
I don't think he's gonna get off.
Okay, Rod.
I think it can go either way.
But what is your gut telling you?
My gut tells me that it might not be good based on the current political climate, especially if your boy get to making some phone calls.
Mm.
Well,
Okay.
it happened in
Okay.
Texas, right, Kev?
It did happen in
That
Texas.
ain't good. That's what I'm saying. That ain't good.
Yeah. I don't think he'll get off. I think his charges will be downgraded. I still think he may get a felony.
Yeah.
I guess, Kevin.
And you guys already know where I stand.
I didn't say I hope. I'm just saying.
I guess. He might get the death penalty. I mean, it is Texas, guys.
Nah, Pam Bondi need to go sit in her office. And her calling for a death penalty for him is insane. Absolutely insane.
You know they love to
For
clown.
Carmelo?
Mm-hmm.
She
Mm.
called for Luigi and Carmelo. I don't know what example she's trying to make, but she is out of line.
Who did that?
Pam Bondi, the U.S.
I didn't know that.
Attorney General.
And she don't even know all the facts.
Of course not.
Right. I told you I'll be the first to hold the administration to account. I ain't biased. I am completely unbiased.
All right. Well, thank you guys for
Terrence,
watching.
is he getting off?
Well, no, I said no, he's not getting off. I said that. And I don't think that he should, If it was the other way around, Austin did it.
If it was the other way around, Austin would not be in jail right now.
Come on.
Correct.
If two black twins
that's
went
false.
to remove a white boy from their section and he stabbed him, we wouldn't even
That's
be having
false.
this conversation. And you
We
already
wouldn't
know
even
that.
know. We wouldn't even know about it.
That's wild.
We wouldn't even know about it.
I might have to side with them on this one, T.
What?
Let's be for
I
real.
might have to
Two
side with.
black
Okay.
twin brothers.
I think he will go to jail, but he'd be out very quick.
Very quickly.
I think
they would have arrested him, called his parents down there. His parents would have came and got him. He would have been gone. It would have been the same.
He still would have had to post bond, but it wouldn't have been $1 million. It wouldn't have been $1 million. I'll be real with that.
And you know it, T.
Nah, I don't know about that.
We be seeing everybody in his family with the damn t-shirts on and everything, and everybody's sad that the little black boy is dead after the fact. And then we would start getting the facts. Oh, it was a white boy who stabbed him, and now he's dead. Then we would start getting the facts, and he's not arrested. It might not even be like a week later. I'm talking a year later. We might have heard about it.
I have a question before we close. I'm so sorry because I know we posted close like 10 minutes ago. If Austin Metcalf was black, do you think that Carmelo still would have stabbed him?
Ooh.
If you carry a knife, you carry a knife.
Yeah.
I think it would have been double homicide.
Because if you carry a knife, if you carrying a knife because it's a self defense, you're gonna self defense on whoever you need to self defense on.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
I know what you're trying to do there, though. I see what you're trying to do.
Yeah,
But
that was
I
a good
also
one.
don't
That
think
was
that
a
the
good one.
situation would
What
have been the same.
I do. I think I
You
do.
do?
Yeah, I think it might have been
Think they
worse.
would have tried each other?
I think it might have been worse. I think it might have been a double homicide. Not even gonna hold
Okay.
what am I trying to do, Rod?
I don't know. Sometimes you got to watch the way you answer questions because it'll contradict what you said earlier, and that's what you wanted us to do. And we kind of walked into it, and I caught it.
Oh man, thank you guys for watching Say It For. I'm your host Terrence Edwards. Tamisha Blue is back. We got Roderick Smith and Kevin Brown. Thank you guys for watching. Take care.